Let's say you're a seller in today's real estate market. Let's say you've had your house listed for a couple of weeks and you haven't got a lot of interest, haven't got a lot of showings. What's the first thing a lot of people will tell you to do? Drop your price. Here's a different strategy to consider that doesn't involve dropping a price, but makes your property more attractive to potential buyers. Let's look at this scenario together. We're assuming a property with a value of $500,000, and we're assuming a buyer will put 20% down on a conventional loan. Now, let me emphasize, these numbers and figures are for demonstration purposes only. They are not actual quotes. If you did want actual quotes, let me know and I can come up with a particular scenario, but this is just to illustrate the point. In this scenario, the buyer is putting down $100,000, so the loan amount would be $400,000. It's a 30-year loan. Here's a $100,000 down payment. Let's say today they could get 7.5% interest rate with 0 points. The principal and interest plus taxes, insurance, everything on that loan would be about $3,468 a month, and their cash to close with closing costs and down payment, let's say, is $110,000. This is at the sale price of $500,000, but at $500,000, we're not really getting a lot of interest in the property. So let's say a seller drops their sale price to $480,000, a $20,000 decrease. A buyer, putting 20% down, now borrows $384,000. The same interest rate yields a payment of $3,356. So it's about $112 per month cheaper than here. Does $112,000 a month really move the needle for a lot of people? Probably not. But what if instead of dropping the price by $20,000, what if you keep the same price at $500,000, but offer to do a permanent interest rate buy down for the buyer? That is, give credits to the buyer so they can use those credits to get a lower interest rate. That scenario is illustrated over here in column 3, a permanent buy down. So in this scenario, they're still doing a $400,000 loan amount, but the seller is giving them credit so they can afford to buy 4 discount points to get a lower interest rate. Now, this is not an exact number, but rule of thumb kind of says if you pay 1 point, that equals a 0.25% reduction in interest rate. So if a buyer was to pay 4 points on their loan, they could potentially get a 1% lower interest rate. And that's reflected here. So the interest rate would drop from 7.5% to 6.5%. And here's the 4 points that you see them paying here. But look at what it does to the payment. Now their total principal and interest and obligations on the property is all the way down to $3,199. That's almost a $270 a month savings compared to here. That's a huge difference when affordability is a big problem for buyers these days. And here's the really cool part. On average, every $10,000 change in sale price changes the payment by about $60 a month. So if we're saving $270 a month on this payment, that equates to almost a $45,000 difference in price range. Meaning, some people that were only looking for houses up to $450,000 because they thought that was the top of their price range can now be looking at this house at $500,000 and get the same monthly payment as they were expecting for a house almost $50,000 less. So if you're a seller or if you're a listing agent advising a seller, instead of immediately going to a price reduction strategy, maybe consider offering credits to potential buyers to get them a lower permanent interest rate, which could not only make your property more attractive to buyers in that $500,000 price range, but could also open the door for buyers that maybe thought they could only qualify for a lower price range to also consider your house as an option. If you're a buyer or a seller and want to see how this scenario would play out in your instance, let me know. I'm happy to help. Thanks.